Hi, I am Sashwati Sarkar, and you're watching The Times of India. Today, we are diving into one of the most competitive and emotionally charged aspects of global education, applying to top international universities. Does the IB curriculum truly offer an edge? Or are Indian students over indexing on the Ivy League dream? And how can schools and counselors prepare students not just for admits, but for life abroad? Helping us unpack all this is someone who's been a guiding force in international education for over 2 decades. We are talking about Shivangi Panchal, the executive director and college counselor at Ahmedabad International School. She has played a pivotal role in shaping its K 12 ecosystem, developing strong admissions frameworks, pioneering counseling systems, and aligning the school with IB, CAIE, and College Board standards. Shivangi has helped over 1,000 students gain admission to top tier global universities, including the Ivy League, while mentoring them through every academic, personal, and cultural leap. Thank you for joining us over here, Shivangi. And I'm sure our interview will open many locked doors in front of students pinning their hopes on international destinations and top tier global universities. Shivangi, IB is considered to be the gold standard for international education. Does this curriculum really give students an edge in Ivy League and global university admissions? What is your take on this?
Actually, this is a double-sided sword, but whether you are taking IB or anything, any other curriculum, they all have equal weightage. But yes, I can say that IB does give students an edge in Ivy League admissions, but with a but, so there the reasons being that there is an academic rigor, there is a holistic skill set. The IB students are already trained in the critical thinking, in the research which they do through extended essay. They have a global perspective. So, and also that this curriculum is consistent across schools across the world. So the preparedness and maturity of the child is already there for the colleges. That is why it is preferred curriculum by any college, be it Ivy League or any college in anywhere in the world. Nowadays, IB is very popular because the other curriculums are not having these kind of characteristics. But the other part is that that does not mean that if you have done IB, it guarantees you admission.
Right,
There is
right.
no guarantee about an admission. There is still that they look at it holistically. So it's one thing that you're doing the curriculum, but it's another thing that each country is looking at it differently, that they want grades, some want the holistic, some want the grades and the holistic. So yes, it is preferred with
But it's not a
benefit.
surefire way to get into an Ivy League.
It has some nuances in there.
If you could elaborate a little bit on the nuances, like,
Y-
of
Yeah,
the
so like I said, that IB does not guarantee admission. It does not have any extra points if you're doing an IB. So it's not
right.
that, okay, that you've done IB, so everything else is, you turn a blind eye to. No, with IB, there should be this other things, like you should have all the other holistic
Credentials
requirements
required.
set up. Yes, and also like it's not like UK has it's that, okay, you need that many IB points and you're in. So US has looks at the whole applicant. It looks at the context, the potential, as well as the character, I would say. So it
So,
gives you a strong foundation. IB gives you a strong foundation. It gives you a leverage, definitely, but again, it depends on everything. It's not just grade, you know.
right. But in the UK, so we can say that in the UK, um, IB has IB gives an edge to students than others, right? I mean, more than US, UK, it will be more
UK
useful
also,
for.
yeah, UK also. I can give you an example that UK, for example, if they are asking for their own A level curriculum, A
Mhm.
star, A star, A, then for an IB they are okay with a 38 on 42. So
Oh,
they would lower a standard. They're not asking for a 42 on 42, which they're asking for a full score in their own curriculum. because
Right.
they know that the IB student is a well rounded, well prepared, exposed, holistic child, I would say.
That's a very important piece of nugget of information that you have shared with us, that students following IB curriculum have advantage in the UK, and more in the UK than in the US.
No, it has both places. US 100% it has an advantage. I again see I have in my school the state board as well. So we have had
Right.
state boards also going to the Ivy Leagues. But then they are
Of course.
working
There's no
like
ruling
the
out that, you know.
yeah. So IB, but where I would say in USA, in UK, for example, they give an advantage, but there is a provision, that you have to have that many grades. It's a conditional offer. While in
Okay.
USA, it's an unconditional offer.
Okay. Understood.
Yeah.
Understood.
So both give weightage. USA gives an unconditional offer. This one gives a conditional offer, but the conditional offers of UK versus their own curriculum of A levels is different.
So let's bust some myths. What's
Yeah.
one completely overrated belief Indian students and parents have about getting into the Ivy League?
So the most overrated is that they think that that is the only path to a successful life. And parents really put a lot of pressure on students and o- overlook the fact, that whether the child has the passion, whether they have the ability, or whether they're actually looking at some other routes and other paths. So that is something that is completely, they think that only if it is a good college, and which is according to them only about Ivy Leagues. So a good college equal to Ivy Leagues is what most parents think.
Understood.
So
Understood.
that is one of the most overrated myth.
What would be your suggestion to them?
Lately, like I keep saying, that we are so, because the travel industry is so up and everybody is everywhere going around. I keep saying that we are so used to our set, uh, you know, places and places of stay, that we this is like a small boutique place which we are just completely ignoring. The IB and their the colleges that are there, we are just sticking to names which are very popular, like a trend. In Gujarat especially, everybody is just talking about certain states like Massachusetts, Chicago, New York, New Jersey. You will not look at somewhere in the middle, you like a Colorado, Boulder, or something like that, which are very good, or Houston, as much as you would have looked at these other universities. So
The
you
hidden
have to,
gems.
yeah, these are the hidden gems, the Ivy peers, as we say in our counseling world. They're as good as Ivy Leagues, if not better. The small liberal arts universities, which are so refreshing, very small in number, which everybody knows everybody by name and not just a ID card. So all these things are very important, and equally, like you could change the, if you had the tag and if you had the authority to change it, you could put it on any one of these universities. But unfortunately, it doesn't happen.
Is the obsession with top tier names like Harvard, Stanford, Yale actually hurting students' chances in the long run? Do you ever have to tell your students you're aiming too high?
Yes, all the time, all the time. It's they have to have them on the list. They have to have them on the list, but they don't even know the logo. So it's that kind of a disconnect, that they're
So,
not
what do you
aware
tell
of.
these students?
Yeah, I tell
How
them that, I mean, you got to research into whether you are a good fit for them. Whether the university will fit you or not is the first part. Whether what are you going to bring to them that they should be excited about you to take you. All these big universities with the big names, the Ivy Leagues, the popular names, as I say, are not, it's not just about you wanting them, but what can you give to them? What can you bring on the table that some admission officer will pitch for you? So that kind of understanding, I have long discussions, long one-on-one parent discussions as well, make them understand. We have lots of university fairs and meetups and all of that. So expose them to a lot of these insights and get them to understand that, okay, it's all right, especially at that undergrad level. Because at undergrad, you have to discover yourself. You need to
Right.
have an environment you need to have a environment and a space where you can grow, you can find yourself, you can dabble in, you can, you know it's okay if you are just going to fall. So spaces where you can experiment with yourself, subjects that you can experiment with yourself, that is a university you need to choose.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, talking about personal statements, how do you stop students from sounding cliche? Can you share an example of an epic essay pivot that got a student into an Ivy League?
There are loads of essays, but from sounding cliche, see, I keep telling them to note down everything. They need to keep journaling everything all the time. So it's another thing that how much there are only few students who will listen to you, but those who have heard you and those who understand what you're saying will keep notes about everything, and then when they create that narrative from that story that they have and connect it to what they want to do in the university, that is when uh, you know you feel that they have nailed it. For example, I would say that I had a student who was applying to an Ivy League university, and she was a Jain. And being Jain and especially in Gujarat, and not having and having so many restrictions and wanting to do medicine, coming from a very humble background, so we kind of wrote that story. It's like when you're talking, she was talking to me, and I said, just let's record it. That she was talking to me how there are so many taboos in her own house, and the fact that you have to do dissection and catch frogs, and
Oh,
it's so unthinkable
right,
for them. And then to put that in your story about how she could convince her parents. Of course, being a doctor was the most noble profession that everybody knows, but
right.
how from that background that she came from, and how her talks with her parents over the years, they used to have an annual retreat, and how that annual retreat changed from grade 9 to grade 11 towards her goals, and they were convinced, and all that she put in her story, and that really clicked. Yeah.
This is a very unique story. This is a very unique story. I must admit that it is must have had a lot of learning, and I mean, if possible, someday I would like to look at that essay. What was written there?
Definitely, definitely. And we have lots of such children who, there are very few in every class who are really focused and they want to just make it. It's not about, then we have to also counsel them and talk to them about how to face rejection. So that's also another aspect to it.
So, you've had students accepted at some of the most selective universities in the world. If you had to name one factor that consistently separates the accepted from the almost made it, what would that be?
From the accepted to the almost made it. One is resilience. They have to have resilience. They have to have what do you say, an authentic narrative. The word I would emphasize is authentic, and there has to be consistency in their story, initiatives, impact, and self-awareness. These are some few qualities that has to be in that student. And if this is seen very clearly in the application, then they've gotten, but like I said, authentic narrative, that is the part where we as counselors have to struggle a lot.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So, for every student accepted, there are a few rejections. How do you
Hmm.
help students bounce back from big no's?
Yeah, I keep telling them you have to keep the vision. It's not about the name. Reflect. Think whether you are good enough to get into say when you were chasing a college or when you were chasing a dream, whether that, and if the dream can still happen, the college doesn't matter. There are, like there is a destination, and there are many roads to it. Now one of the roads has, you have a roadblock, or you have a detour, or you have, there is some work going on, and you can always take the other route, come back, do a u-turn. So very important of, like I said, how to face rejection, how to and when to do the u-turn, and how to reflect. Basically you need to reflect and understand, because some many times, they think, they are young kids, see, they get totally, I got my grades, I'm there, or I have everything, so what? When we say it's holistic, so everything else I have, a few grades here and there won't matter. But or somewhere they have everything and they've not got the essays and the story right, they haven't got the connection right. So when all the dots are connected, that is when everything will happen.
So, do students today choose countries and courses based on passion or post study work visas? How do you help strike that balance between career ROI and intellectual curiosity?
Very few, it's parents who are looking at ROI, not the
Right.
students. So the students are looking for passion, and now parents are starting to understand that passion is important, because if just getting a degree, then there's nothing wrong in your own country and getting a degree here. But if you're passionate about something that the country is not offering, then yes, you need to move out and think differently. So yes, I definitely encourage children to pursue their passion and not look at the ROI, because that will happen. That will happen
ROI
once.
will follow passion.
Follow passion, that will happen. Once you're good at something, once you understand what you're doing, once you're able to bring some meaning and some context to your degree, pad it up with any other things that you might need, skill sets, especially the ability to change, the ability to absorb. And if all that package is done well, and you understood that well, and if you go slowly, that ROI is going to happen.
That's very reassuring to hear from someone like you who has mentored so many students.
Yes, because I'll tell you, even Harvard, just now it was in the news that so many children haven't got jobs and jobs even after passing out from Harvard. So it's not just about big college names. It's about yourself. How proactive you are in every industry that it is. It's not about just the education sector, but every industry. You need to reflect and see, what are you doing. What are you doing? You need to reflect constantly, and see whether
And
you are
they have to be
helping the
ready for the ever evolving landscape
yes,
and
yes.
challenges. That flexibility, I think, is very,
Flexibility
very.
has to be there. You can't be stuck on, oh, I have done this, or I am a Harvard graduate and I need this job, or why can't I get a job, or why this is absolutely not my stature. No, you can start from zero. It doesn't matter. Don't let go of opportunities. They will come.
Great, great. Now, coming to a very crucial aspect of international education or global education, the ever changing rules like the UK tightening its PSW routes or Canada capping international students. How do you prep your students to be future ready and not just admit ready?
Uh, yeah, that's a good question. We, especially in my school, we tell them that because we offer the IB curriculum, the curriculum is future ready. They bring those skill sets that make you future ready. And constantly, by talking to them, by having workshops, master classes, exposing them, and getting, very good speakers, learn from other experiences, all these things, when you bundle it in and put it in a curriculum, you will get them future ready. And they will also bust those myths about being admit ready. And believe me, even my weakest student has got admitted somewhere. be it India or be it abroad, or it's not necessarily USA also as well, because there are many pathways. So admit ready is never a problem. It is whether you're ready for the future.
What concrete systems or practices should schools put in place to genuinely support study abroad aspirations?
So I would say that for any study, uh, a school should have a good counseling infrastructure, means a good counseling team, uh, a counselor who is first of all invested in this profession. That investment has to be there, because when you're talking to universities, say in the US, you are talking at unearthly hours. So if you're not invested, you're sticking your role of your school time or anything else, it's going to be very difficult. So to make those connections and those networks, so for a school to be having a great counseling team or a person, one, if they can be certified, very good. If they are not, you can always send them up for certification, and they have to be invested. Also, there, if possible, we can have a grade wise curriculum framework set in. So say in
Right.
grade 8 and 9, you can have career exploration activities. You can have, different master classes of different career, like we have somebody from the aviation coming, one even from the parent body we pick it up. So there is a pilot coming or a doctor coming, so they have a actual one-on-one with them and understand what that career is all about. So besides knowing the other aspects of the career exploration program, this aspect, talking to them, is also very important for future pathways. Then say in grade 10, we there's university researchers, we talk to them about how to do a test prep. So if this kind, then in grade 9 itself, we start the profile building, or the portfolio, or the holistic building, that is so called. And grade 12, you have the fine. So if you have a great curriculum framework in place by the counselor, and involve all the teachers, have them as stakeholders, each teacher can talk about their subject and careers in their subject. So that kind of workshops, so that is something that the school can do easily, beautifully, and the children are ready, everybody is ready. Another aspect of it is also the documentation and the application management. So that part also, you need to have a calendar in place, you need to have your templates in place, your timelines in place, how you're going to have your profiles ready, your mentorship program ready, curriculum mapping, you know and these
Right.
one-on-one meetings that we have with the students has to be factored into the calendar, school calendar.
Absolutely.
Another stakeholder is the university side. So we have the student, we have we have parents with our one-on-one meetings and regular meetups to understand the family, the finances of the family, what is the dynamics of the family. Because I've had issues when parents come up and tell me that please discourage them from wanting to go abroad, and the child comes up to me and say, in half an hour my parent meeting is, then please convince them that I want to go abroad. So those dynamics is something that you need to sort out. And the other, like I said, the last part in it is the university, where the university is the stakeholder. So organizing fairs, regular visits, talks, and building
And also maybe,
relationships.
more strong exchange programs so that students get a real life exposure, you
Exposure,
know,
yes. Summer
to different
programs, we
cultures.
encourage summer programs also in campuses of the universities. So exchange programs, summer programs, even having a Harvard leadership program on our campus. So people from there, they come here and have a program. So
Absolutely.
if all the stakeholders, students, parents, teachers, and universities are all connected, and there is school management who has that vision, it's very easy to put it in place.
Right. So I'm coming to the final question of this very well rounded interview. Uh, you're sending 17-year-olds across the world beyond test scores and essays. How do you prepare them for the emotional whiplash of cultural shifts, independence, and identity abroad. Given the fact that Indian kids are mostly mollycoddled by their parents and they rarely have a chance to be independent.
So, what we do is we have a lot of alumni talks. That is one very important thing. We get at least 3 times in a year when the children come from different areas. We have a lot of alumni talks. So, that is a very important direct student because even for the past 2 years, so that student is not that old, in age. So they definitely understand that, yes, this is what, they can relate to it. So having alumni talks and making the alumni make them understand that what they should be ready for in college, how to cope up with things, what they should not be stressed about. And me as a counselor, I'm constantly talking to them along with the parents is how to make them independent here at home in with them. Let them manage their own timelines, let them manage their workload, let them take decisions and the consequences, that they face, and not mollycoddle them. Like, there are many children who are not allowed to go in an auto rickshaw. So if you're not ready to let them go in an auto rickshaw over here, but you're ready to send them out in an unknown place with uh, with no kind of idea of what independence is, it can be misused. So I think to prepare them for this roller coaster, we need to create as a school also as a culture and build, emotional resilience into the process.
Thank you, Shivangi. Thank you for joining us in this conversation, which I'm sure will help many students iron out the issues that they may be facing in the future while studying abroad or while even applying for international universities. Thanks a lot.